You are listening to The Edge, a podcast for personal development junkies and visionaries living right at the precipice of oh shit meets fuck yeah. I'm Nadia Munla, an embodiment and relationship coach and a lover of all edges. Stick around to listen to raw, unpolished conversations where we explore our personal and collective edges in all their erotic glory. Hello, everyone. Okay, we've got a special, super short solo episode today where I want to invite you into the most exciting event that I've put together of the year. It's called A New Chapter in the Coaching Industry. How can we do better? And I am recording this as I am completing the week that I've spent with these panelists, with these amazing coaches who have agreed to take time to sit around in circle around, the table to have this incredibly important introspective conversation about where we are in the coaching industry and like what needs to shift. And so what I wanted to offer you, my podcast listeners, is a chance to get essentially a preview to the event before it officially opens on November 8th. And so I'm dropping here a clip of the intro video, which is myself introducing the event. And I thought it would be a great way for you to get just a little teaser into what are the different explorations and topics that we cover in this event, so you can see if you might want to join us. P.S. Did I mention the event is completely free? All you have to do is go to nadiamunla.com/ANC. It's also in the show notes, but essentially A as in a new chapter. So ANC. nadiamunla.com/ANC. You sign up, you just plug in your email, and on November 8th, we will send you the first two panels, and that will continue that way for the next 2 days. So I highly recommend you joining us. We will keep it open for a week, so you'll still be able to access recordings for about 7 days. If you are unable to join us live on the days of. So without further ado, I'm going to leave you with the intro video of A New Chapter to the Coaching Industry. Enjoy. Hello, thank you so much for being here. If you happen to not know me or my work, I just wanted to introduce myself and share a little bit about my intention behind putting together this event. So my name is Nadia Munla, and I am an embodiment and intimacy coach. And I've been in the coaching industry now for a little over a decade. And myself, along with all the people that I brought into these conversations, really came into the coaching industry because of a variety of reasons. I would say number one, before anything, love. A desire to serve, a desire to transform. And also, and I'll speak to my own experience here because I don't know if all the panelists feel this way and I don't want to speak on behalf of them, but for me it was also about changing things. It was about liberation. It was about disrupting what we thought we had to just accept as normal. The very mainstream standard way of doing life, I was a no to. And so I really wanted to change that in my own life and then give permission for others, for my clients to do the same, to find their own unique path that felt in the most integrity and alignment to them. And so I came in with that deep desire. At the same time, it was a career shift. I used to be in film producing, and I decided I wanted not just a coaching practice, but a coaching business. And again, similar to a lot of the panelists that you will see in this event and who will share their experiences with you, we made a career choice out of this, which means that we also had to essentially sustain our own livelihoods and possibly that of our family from this career choice. And so it can get really tricky, right? To be traversing that line where you are both here to serve, to help people connect more deeply to themselves, to the divine, while also being in business, while also trying to make money. And there's another layer that came into this whole thing, which is that when we entered the coaching industry a decade ago, it was in its infancy. It was very, very, very young. And there was and still isn't really any regulation, which in these panels, it comes up a few times, whether you're pro-regulation or not. And ultimately, it was a little bit of the wild, wild west. And so for a long time, we did a lot of trial and error in our own individual practices and as an industry. And then in the last couple of years, I started to lean back and notice that shit's getting a little crazy. There was my own personal views where I felt there was a level of inflation and investment to certain coaching packages that felt unnecessary, that felt truly inflated, padded. Of course, there is a time and a place and an audience for a high-ticket coaching program. So I'm not saying I'm against that. And again, these are all the juicy things that come up in these panels. And we're debating that. We're like exploring what is there a right pricing model? Is it just a right pricing model for me? Is there a way that we can truly be more sustainable? Is there a way that we truly can be more inclusive, more regenerative, more in alliance with Mother Nature? These are all questions that we are asking. And so a couple of years ago, I started to notice things getting a little funky, a little weird. And a lot of what I saw was two types of responses. One was people in the industry going like, fuck this, I'm out. And completely either leaving the industry, ejecting the industry completely, or they would I saw a lot of this like shifting out of, I'm not a coach, I'm a mentor. I'm not a coach, I'm a teacher. I'm not a coach, I'm a facilitator. And so nearly like this distancing of themselves from the coaching industry. At the same time, I also saw a proliferation of hate accounts, cancel campaigns, a lot of like calling out a particular person or company and going, we need to all boycott this person's products. Or look at this person's contract, how crazy that they have this fine print in their contract, or just a method of shaming and blaming that felt so completely misaligned to the ethos of love or doing better. And so for about a year now, I've been having so many conversations with friends, with colleagues, with sisters about these topics. And I thought, you know what? I want to make this accessible to our communities, to other coaches, to other colleagues, so that we can be in this exploration together. And we may not have all the answers just yet, because as we all know, in our individual journeys, we often are in the inquiry and we don't often just overnight get the answer. In fact, it's usually little by little, little by little. And so this space, a new chapter in the coaching industry, how can we do better, was essentially a small event that I wanted to create, a space for different coaches in different niches to come together and have conversations with each other around a round table in a circle to go, look at these things that we did, that we adopted, often accidentally and without any malicious intention, that maybe weren't the best practices from a sustainability standpoint, from an accessibility standpoint, from a inclusivity standpoint, from a love and integrity standpoint. And so these panels are with these little niche topics, because there's so much. I mean, when I sat down, I was like, oh yeah, there's so many things to cover. And so I brought together different people to talk about social media and how the ethos of social media converged with the ethos of coaching, and where it was positive and where it bred certain values that maybe weren't exactly in service to our clients or to us. We get into pricing models and if it's actually okay for a business to claim, I am the Chanel of coaching programs, I am the H&M, I'm more of a scaling kind of person, I am more of I only work with 5 people a year kind of practice. We get into how we accidentally commodified our connection to spirituality, the hierarchy, the reward system, right? The way in which we encoded, oh, if you're a spiritual good girl, you're going to find your king, right? And the way in which, again, covertly and unintentionally often, we sold these guarantees that are literally impossible to sell, or to guarantee, should I say. We can sell them. Apparently we have, right? And so there's so many different directions where we took these. One of my favorite panels, and what felt really important to bring into the space too, was this journey from maiden to mother that so many of us take, whether we have a biological child or not. But noticing the ways in which the mother archetype really holds values and like a certain compass to the type of leadership we're really looking for and what we want. We talk about design and what we need to shift in our own personal design and our business design to really serve those that are asking for guidance and mentorship, which is ultimately a beautiful thing. Like, don't we all want to look deeper into ourselves and find more peace and freedom and happiness? We dive into how important is it for us to call out harmful practices we see around us, and how important is it for us to do what we can in our local or virtual community. There was a green flash. I don't know what happened. Side note. It's also interesting because when I finally got the go, it's time, now's when you're going to run this, is around the time that everything started to happen in Gaza. And it was an interesting spiral of connection, because I myself grew up in the Middle East. I grew up in Lebanon. I grew up with Israeli occupation in the South. And even in my first couple of years of life, I experienced the Israeli occupation in Beirut as well as a separate civil war that was occurring at the same time. I also grew up with a lot of ways in which I served the Palestinian refugee community in Lebanon, in Beirut. And so at first I questioned the timing. Is this the right time? Should we be focused somewhere else? And I just kept getting yes, go, yes, go. So I went, and as I started to have these conversations, I realized that this is part of the change that we are looking for. That when we cannot directly fight the system and fight the deeper codes that are embedded in our society and in our systems, what we can do is show up every day and take one step at a time and ask ourselves, is this coming from a place of love, or is this coming from a place of fear? Can I kneel down and be in full fucking devotion to serving? And that's what all of these gorgeous humans that I have brought together are walking. They are walking that path. We are all doing it messily. We are all trying to give ourselves grace. And we are all here willing to have the conversation and be in the inquiry and say, we don't really know. We don't have all the answers. So one thing I can guarantee you is that there are no guarantees in this event. We do not have a full set of pillars and a manifesto that you will have at the end that says, here's exactly what we're going to do till the end of time. Because we are aware that it's an ever-evolving, ever-unfolding process. And so we humbly come here to just open up the conversation and go, where have we not looked deep enough? What else do we need to address? Where do we even begin? Instead of getting overwhelmed with where do we need to end up, we've just started to open that box. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you wanting to join us in these conversations as we listen, as we figure it out, as we do it messy. And I ultimately just pray that whether you are here as someone who works with coaches and facilitators, someone who is a coach or a facilitator, or very possibly both, that you leave this event with a few more doors of inquiry that have opened, more slivers of hope of where we can go from here, and ultimately a remembrance that when we strip it all away and find that seed of love that exists inside all of us, that we can continue to slowly shift, step by step, moment by moment, breath by breath, the ethos, the culture, the ecosystem that we live in to be one of more sustainability, more sacredness, and more love. All right, loves, I really hope that that inspired you to go and sign up. Again, it is free, and you can find that either in the show notes or just type in nadiamunla.com/ANC as in Apple, Nadia, Charlie. I really hope to see you there. This set of conversations truly shifted something even for me as I was hosting. And so I know for sure it is going to just bring up lots of questions for you and just shift something. So also, I just want to offer one last chance to rate and review the show here. We are completing season 2, and in order for us to continue into season 3, it helps so much when we get more exposure. So rating, reviewing, both if you have the capacity would be great. I appreciate you listening so, so much. Thank you. I pour my heart into this. It is truly a labor of love, and I appreciate your feedback as part of